Raised Rowdy.
Hey guys, welcome to the Raised Rowdy podcast. I'm Nicky T. Today with my special co-host from the Rowdy Alternative,
Sam Burgh.
Yeah. And we have two of the boys from Southall on the pod. Thank you guys so much for being here. We have Reid and Reid.
Yeah, Reid squared today.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. Funny enough, like Sam and I have chatted about you specifically as a guest on the pods for a while. So it's super awesome for us to get to have you guys here.
Absolutely.
We're glad to be here.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Yeah. So in terms of the touring, I know you guys have been kind of like going crazy with that. Why don't you tell us about what's been going on in that world?
We've been, I guess, for the past, 2 years, 3 years, we've been trying to like break out of, the tri-state area of like where we're from and where we were touring.
Yeah.
And go coast to coast, and then we got the crazy opportunity to go across the pond with probably my favorite band doing it, our favorite band doing it, the mighty Blackberry Smoke. So, and it happened that we got to go over there to Europe, and then everything else has been. I don't know. It's kind of fell into place, Yeah. And then we just got back from going back over there on our own, and I don't know. It was crazy. It was crazy to go and to see the same game plan, I guess, come together over there. Like in Amsterdam or something.
Yeah,
it was just crazy.
Right.
As it was like when we went to California for the first time. It was. I don't know. It's hard to remember to stop and take a second and be like, wow, this is,
Yeah.
Well, I feel like everyone we talked to, I remember talking to the Cadillac 3 about Europe, and they were like, they get the rock thing over there.
Yeah.
Like, they really understand it, and it sells a lot of tickets,
Yeah.
So it's cool with the stuff that's kind of like in that crossover world. It seems to do really, really well over there. The fans have a different kind of perspective on it maybe, or also maybe they just don't get it as often. So when you guys pop over there, it really, really seems to work.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing. Is it's almost like novelty to them.
Yeah,
just like the Americana thing at all.
Yeah,
is something that they can't walk outside and experience.
Right.
So they're buying tickets to do it.
Yeah,
it's great.
We did this Long Road Festival over there, and like everybody's like dressed up, like in I don't know, their version of like a country festival.
American.
Yeah. It was like I don't know, it's funny. Like Barb's got the what do you call that hat?
Like a flat cap. I got
like
a flat
Peaky
cap. I was like, I'm
Blinders
gonna wear this.
Yeah.
I'll dress up like them, and they can dress up like me.
Yeah. So next year we're going full on like English with it.
That's great.
Yeah. That's what we decided. But I don't know. What's really cool about over there was they're just like they pay attention, and they're like just staring at you, like what's next, and then you play a song and you're like, I don't know if they like that or not, and then they clap real big and smile, and then they're like, okay, now what's next?
Yeah,
and it's like it's
They're there
so
for
different.
the music more than I guess compared to like. Well, I mean, they
then
both
like
are
the social
probably.
aspect
Yeah,
of
It's
it.
just like
whereas,
this etiquette. Yeah.
Whereas we're used to, we're used to being in Texas where it's just like
Drunk, rowdy,
Dodging
Yeah.
beer cans.
yeah.
there's like 3 or 4 fights breaking out, and you don't stop the song, you just
Right.
keep going, But I don't know, it's different. It's cool though. It's cool to experience it in all those different ways.
Yeah.
For sure.
We've been to jump back to your original question about touring though. I mean, like when we were trying to break out of that tri-state area, we took it on the chin a lot. Like we went out and gambled, and we're like, let's go up to Maine and these places that we really didn't belong in.
You never knew if there was fans there or not.
Yeah, and it's been cool. It's been really like I don't know, fulfilling to go up there and see that there are fans and that they dig the kind of music that we're making, and it's been cool. It's been cool to travel. That's a big reason why I got into this, you know, or I wanted to do this was to see the world and meet people from all over the world, and it's coming to fruition. So,
do you remember like a certain point, like in particular, when you got out beyond the Oklahoma, Texas area, like a show or a moment where you're like, oh shit, this is happening?
I think it was a bunch of different ones. You know, the Whiskey Myers guys took us out and kind of like took us to Mississippi and Alabama, and you know, kind of the old South stuff first. And we were pulling our hair out because we were like, why are we not down there? You know, like we're not that far.
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense. Like we were going to Chicago and stuff, so I don't know why we wouldn't go southeast a little bit.
Yeah.
And that was kind of I feel like that was the first time where it really kind of broke the ceiling, and it was like, okay, we can go out here and do our own deal.
Right.
Yeah.
And they did that for us. They helped us out. So we're in debt to them, but also we just like to play with them any chance we can.
Yeah, for sure.
Such a great band to see live. I remember the first time I saw those guys live, and I'd listened to their music relatively extensively, but I honestly didn't look at even many videos. It was just the music.
Yeah.
So when I saw their live set for the first time, I was completely blown away.
Yeah.
It's just full-fledged rock show, two rocking guitarists, you know, and like you're talking about where it's new markets, I remember when they were doing that too, right?
Yeah.
So they kind of were doing that same thing. I was back in Pittsburgh at the time. That's where I lived, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, not Texas. Yeah. And
I've been to both.
yeah. Saw those guys like kind of starting to do that. And I remember the first time they came through, the room was half full, but everybody was into it. Yeah. And then the next time they came back, it was sold out like 2 weeks in, right?
I believe that.
That's the thing. If you have the live show, and you guys do, I'm getting to catch your guys' live show. It's awesome, and it's Southern rock etiquette, but it has like a little bit more of a newer sound that makes it like yours, right? So it's like you hear the Southern rock. If you're a traditionalist that loves Southern rock, like you're gonna love your guys' show. But also, it kind of develops a little bit more than some of the things from just the past. You know, you guys bring your own twist to it. Yeah, so I think that's kind of the same thing that I think about when I think about like bands like Whiskey.
Yeah,
is that.
I think that was a big part of like, even before, you know, we were stabbing at this music thing, before I ever really started writing songs, I got to watch them at really our hometown bar, the Tumbleweed in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Yeah. And I was just blown away. But I've always kind of leaned on the rock side of country music, I guess. Yeah. Just because I grew up with, you know, parents that graduated high school in like the late 70s. So they, you know,
good stuff.
Yeah. We
for sure.
Me and my mom, like every day on the way to school, we were jamming. Like there was no, you know, we weren't listening to easy listening stuff. Right. It was heavy, you know. And then I don't know, I feel like there was this in Oklahoma in particular, there was a lot of good country music that and like local stuff, or people that were from there. It wasn't local. It had already got out of Oklahoma at that time, you know, like Boland and Ragweed and Stoney LaRue and all those acts.
Great Divide.
The Great Divide, yeah. And I feel like that's what, you know, made me fall in love with music, and especially like a local music scene, that I could go watch somebody that was from here that was actually doing it, and it kind of broke that mold that it was like, I have to move to Nashville if I want to do this, or I have to live somewhere geographically, which is, you know, not true.
The case.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And I moved to a couple years ago. I moved to Stillwater, and I don't live there anymore, but I moved there for like a year or two, and I had no idea what red dirt music was at all. I'm from Kentucky, so like it was like Nashville. That's it. And you guys were the first red dirt show period that I've seen. It was at the Tumbleweed. So it was funny. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know what this is called, like, because you got the Americana, country, soul, blues, everything like that. So how would you guys describe your sound if you had to? Like, what would you call it?
I always tell everybody I don't know about a name.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, I always put, there's been a couple different names. We won't even get into the names.
Nip told me it was Rule Rock.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what we landed on because, I tell everybody I started country because I think that that's just what I knew to do. And I've always loved country music. But I've always had this like hankering to have some overdriven guitars and some more energy to it than just your down the middle Merle Haggard stuff.
For sure.
Yeah.
And that's what I was gonna say with like Whiskey Myers and like watching Ragweed or Cody Canada and The Departed, like just to watch him play guitar, I was always just blown away.
Yeah.
And I loved that. I loved the feeling that I got whenever, those rock songs came to surface. And like, that was kind of the Whiskey Myers thing was like a resurgence, in my opinion, of our whole like area going back to a rock sound.
Yeah.
And that gave me the confidence to be like, okay, there's a space for that.
Right.
We're not just throwing a dart at a wall without a board. There's a board to aim at,
Right.
And that's, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of what we were stabbing at from the get go, and then it progressed into more and more rock and roll, and then like this last record, our self-titled record. We kind of took a step back into the country feel of things.
Right.
I mean, there's still some heavy tracks on it, but for the most part, I feel like as a whole collective, the project it took a step back into the country realm.
Yeah.
And I
A
was
lot of
okay with
blues
that.
in it too. I feel like the
Yeah.
blues element killed. Like that was a really cool side to hear from you guys. Like
Yeah.
Scared Money, like that was fucking insane.
Barb wrote that song. Yeah.
Hell of a song, Barb.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think that's a thing too. Like you're talking about the Texas scene. Like being from the Northeast, like we would get the Cadillac 3 coming through town, and then I would see them, and I'm like, I like this. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna chase these guys if they're in the area for a weekend, right? Like, and then I met other people that did that same thing. That would go to 2 or 3 shows in 2 or 3 days when they were in a geographically okay area.
Yeah.
So like, but all of those fans love your music. They all love Whiskey Myers. They love the Cadillac 3. Like that music is, in my opinion, what would be considered rock when it was the 90s or 2000s. Yeah. And when that was the mainstream thing. It just has that red dirt thing that you talked about, like the greats like Cody and the boys like that. But that's opened up.
Cody Canada said it's rock and roll with country soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, the best way anybody's ever put it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing Shiflet say rural rock on a podcast with Hardy a couple years ago. And I was like, damn, that's a great term.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
They got it for you.
He beat me to it?
No, but honestly, I don't think he was trying to have it as his. He just said it.
I just thought, like, we're all from rural America.
Yeah.
And we're stabbing at rock and roll, so that was kind of where we ended up.
Yeah.
Or that's really the reason we named it rural rock and roll.
That's the perfect definition of it, honestly.
Yeah.
I remember
really country kids trying to play rock music.
Yeah. Well, I'm a little older. I'm 42. So I grew up with older brothers. So like grunge music was heavy in my house. But then I had older brothers that were like 13 years older than me. So like they had some of the older rock too that they were like filtering into me. Like my brother Steve, I blame him for my music addiction. He'd have me in the back of his 82 Scirocco and he'd be like, what band is this?
What band?
Yeah. And then if I knew the band, he'd be like, what's the song title? It was like trivia with me as a kid, So it's his fault that I like heavy music.
It's a great brother.
Yes, dude. Steve's the best. Yeah. Well, all my brothers are great, but yeah. He's the one that I've been the closest with, and music was a big part of that, right? Like him showing me music was kind of like a love language for us.
Yeah.
And he got me into the heavier stuff. But then rock kind of went away from that. Like when emo came in, I kind of fell out of love with rock and roll, you know? And then I kind of went to country when I figured like, I heard like Zach Brown first, right? Like it was like 2012. It was like his first album that popped. And I was like, wait, this is country? I was like, this sounds a little country, but there's rock in here. Yeah. And then from there, I just felt on the well of like, oh no, there's stuff that's like really rocking that lives in this genre now. And that's part of like what drew me to it was I was kind of disenchanted with rock and roll that I was hearing. You know, I was like, this isn't for me. Country parties are fun, you know. Like, if you go to a country tailgate's still the best one, you know. We went to Louder Than Life last year, and it was wild. But 40,000 people together in like 20 mosh pits, I'm a little too old for, you
with
know.
With Limp Bizkit on stage.
Yeah.
That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. But it was super cool too because we got to see Austin Meade at that festival, you know, who I know you guys have like toured with before. That's actually kind of how Sam and I met, and he started working with Raised Rowdy. It was through Austin. So through that like rockin' country kind of fusion, you know, that honestly lived in Texas greater than it lived anywhere else. You know, there's a few bands like the Cadillac 3 that were doing that in other places, but that scene really lived in Texas and bubbled up from there. Like you're talking about the same bands you're talking about are the bands that you'll hear bands now talking about that weren't from there. Yeah. You know,
I mean, that's what I mean. Like what I feel like whenever I met Co Wetzel, it was like we were both trying to do that. We were both really wanted to do that, to bring more of a rock element to what we were doing. And at that time, we weren't drawing anybody, you know?
Yeah. Well, I know talking to people now, they say, hey, if you're in a college market and your shit's too old, like it sounds too honky-tonky, it's not working. The stuff that is rocking is what's working.
I feel like especially in like Texas.
Yeah,
like what's popping right now has been the rock, like grungy almost kind of shit. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but like it's definitely not like George Strait stuff anymore.
No.
Like with the younger crowd.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. I don't
Are we looking too deep into it?
Yeah. Well, it's just it's always changing, and so you can't really even the second you get your finger on it, it's different.
Yeah.
And so there's not really even a point in trying to
figure that out.
Yeah. It's
I
like,
think that's the hardest mold to break as somebody that makes music, is trying to make music for, you know, what other people want.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's also hard not to fall into that rut, you know, of like, because it feels good. It feels good for everybody to be like, I love this, you know, but you got to make it for you ultimately. And then if other people like it, then great.
Yeah, that's how you connect. It's like you make something that I make something that I like, and then if you like it too, then we have something, you know, automatically. So, yeah.
That was something I feel like that, I don't know, my dad really like beat into my head without, and my dad has no, you know, idea of how to write songs or write music or anything like that. You know, he's just a music fan, but he told me, you know, he's like, people can tell when you're faking it, you know, when you're not being true to who you are. And I think I credit a lot of my success to that. But with my first record is because that's just what I was going through, is what I was dealing with. Yeah. And then I guess a lot of other people were dealing with the same things, or, you know, took one of my songs and plugged their life into it, which is great. That's what it's for.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want with it.
We talk about that a lot. You know, getting to do this podcast is cool because we get to talk to all kinds of different people. But one of the things people say is, I felt like this song was too personal to me, or this thing was too personal to me, so it wouldn't hit. And that seems like the stuff that hits the most. Yeah. If it means the most to you, that expresses itself in the music, and that makes it relatable. Yeah. Even if it's a personal story, or if it's a sound that like is what you're steering for. I've heard, you know, on the internet, people are like, crowd doesn't know what they want until they have it. Then they know what they want.
Are you talking about the Noel Gallagher video? Dude.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But it's
so good.
It's funny.
That one's so funny.
I know.
It's so
It's
good.
so
and
great.
it's so true. It's like,
But
customer
it
doesn't know what he
is.
wants.
Yeah. And
You give it to him.
and then they decide if they want it or not. But it's so true. And it like sparked the thing in my brain where I'm like, that's such a true thing. That people that are really moving the needle aren't doing it because they want to sound like a 90s country artist, right? That just lives in their soul, right? Like Zach Top. That when you met that kid, you knew he was it was real. It's not fake. In country music, sometimes in rock, you can do a bit and it's fine, right? In country music, that's not the case. You have to be authentic. They'll sniff it out quick. And so the thing that I think is cool about the crossover of those two genres is you still need that authenticity. You still need to be you. You could be like an amplified version of you, but you have to have that authenticity or the country fans will sniff it out. Yeah. So if you're trying to cross over between the rock market and the country market, it's hard to do a bit, you know. You can't be Fred Durst for Limp Bizkit, you know, and try to have that.
I've had a problem with like feeling like, you know, the rock market. It's hard to get like the rock market to accept us, you know, as being, you know,
anything other than country.
That's so weird though, because like I put you guys in the same like kind of class, I guess. If people say class, I guess that's right before it. Like with Co and like Austin Me, we mentioned earlier, they broke into that rock market, but like you guys, like they don't know where to put you. It seems like, is that accurate?
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know that we know where to put ourselves.
Right.
Which it kind of, you know, it kind of feels like it's capped the potential a little bit, like with like festivals and stuff, you know.
Yeah. It's more festivals,
country festivals, and then there's these rock festivals.
Yeah.
And you know, like the Blackberry Smoke saying, you know, two country for rock and two rock for country.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know where we fit. But it's been fun figuring it out. Trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever played a rock festival, like a true rock festival?
No.
Or just the kind of red dirt crossover stuff?
Yeah, I think we've always been like the rock band at a country festival.
Yeah.
Yeah, these guys at Calf Fry a couple years ago. That's probably been a few years ago now. I don't remember, but it was
it's
a
been
fucking
2 or 3 years
blast.
ago.
Yeah.
And we did it. I mean, we did it, I think, every year before that. But.
Yeah. I mean, I think you headlined one of the nights or something. It was like
Yeah.
the first time you headlined. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think and that's the last time we played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We taxed them.
Yeah.
I haven't been out to that. That's one of the.
Dude, it was a blast.
Yeah.
I hardly remember it, but I remember it being a blast.
Yeah.
We usually go to Key West Songwriters Festival. Like since I moved to Nashville, we'd started going to that because we host writers rounds.
Yeah.
So you know, it's kind of like we can go work down there a little bit. But
and it's also probably a great place to work.
It is. It's sick. Yeah, it's fun. We spent a lot of money down there, but it's like good money spent, you know. But we were talking because that's the same weekend as Calf Fry.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt, my business partner, the host Outside the Round, he toured with like Muscadine, and then he toured with Trey Lewis. So he got to see a lot of these clubs and, you know, where the festivals were and stuff.
Yeah.
So he was like, bro, I got to get you to Calf Fry. He's like, you're gonna love it. So we might try to do that.
It's a sight to behold for sure.
Yeah.
I love the music from that scene, but I never got to see like you guys do it in the scene there, right?
Yeah.
I've either seen you guys, I mean, I guess just in Nashville, honestly, but and Nashville shows are weird, you know, because it's like they are, right? Like we can talk about that. Nashville shows are weird because there's so much going on, and suits that are suits don't want to love music anymore. They like feel like they're in the back with their arms crossed. You know what I mean? So
like taking notes.
Yeah. It's a strange thing. I remember I was going to see Flatland Cavalry right when I got my job. I worked at a record label for like a year and a half. I did a marketing rollout for an album. And my boss was like, wait, are you just here to see the music? And I was like, yeah, but these tickets 6 months ago. Like, it's Flatland and Jake Worthington. It's awesome. You know, as soon as they went on sale, we got tickets, you know. But it was just, it made me think, I'm like, oh, like this is work for people, which is fucking crazy, you know, that it feels like work when you're getting to see amazing music as part of your job. But it's, that's Nashville. It's like, we have like our live show. So we did the Rowdy Alternative takeover last night at, which used to be Winners, is now Raleigh Greens Bar. And it was our first night there. And we had Austin Upchurch, Sevy, who's a guy from Texas. It's like kind of newer. We had a band from Atlanta, Frigga 5, which is straight up rock. They're not like even crossover, you know? Yeah. And then Reid Barton, who was in Austin Upchurch's band.
We played some shows with Reid.
Yeah.
Then there's 3 Reids, and that's...
That's just too much. Too many Reids. Yeah.
Reid to the third power.
Barber.
Yeah. And then Grayson Russell, who is kind of new to the scene, but kicked ass.
Yeah,
Their
it was a
band
fun
rocked.
night. Yeah, for sure.
But it's cool now to see that we can build like some rock into that. And I'm trying to get Sam to move here so we can make it even deeper. Yeah. But just there's a community there for that in town now too, which is cool. Like Nashville gets it, but I think they get it because of bands like you guys kind of opening that door of this can work, you know, like seeing bands like you. I remember seeing you at the Basement East back-to-back days with Geo and the Guns. Like it was a few years ago, I guess. Damn, time goes quick. But you guys played there, and I think Geo maybe the day before or the day after, I forget. But it was like back-to-back, and we went to both shows. And I was like, damn, this is sick that two of these bands that are kind of in that like crossover of rock country thing are both here back-to-back days and both have bands that are super freaking into it in Nashville. But Nashville shows, like, sometimes people don't want to be up front. It's weird, you know? Yeah. It's like everywhere
not cool
else.
To be into it.
Yeah, I know. I hate it, you know? It's weird. And that's like, I tell Matt, I'm like, we got to go to shows outside of town because you go to fucking Birmingham and it's fine, you know? It's literally just here that it's a little bit weird. But it is sometimes fun when you see that cross, right? Like if something's popping, then the people will just either they're not there, the real fans are there that are, you know, traveled 2 hours to go see the show, or it's like, so it's cool to get to see that kind of crossover when a show gets big, you know? It's the rock scene is alive and well and it's growing, right? But it lives a lot of what I consider and what Sam covers for us is that stuff that lives in the in-between. Yeah. I think there's so much sonic newness to that, whether you're a rock fan or a country fan, but it sounds familiar on both sides, and I think that can be powerful. It seems like there's a little bit of a resurgence in that too, whereas like maybe, you know, you were talking about like going outside of market. You know, there's more fans that can discover your music online. So you could go to Cali and play a show and you're like, is this going to work? And maybe sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. Yeah. But just the fact that you can do that is big. And I mean, look at like Cody Johnson. I remember he was sold out the rodeo and then I saw him in Ohio at a 350 cap venue, right? Yeah. Like right after he sold out the rodeo. But he went and bet on himself and did that because he wanted to grow the thing. And now he's fucking number one on country radio, you know? Yeah. So, I mean, that's more traditional country sounding, but it's the betting on yourself thing is how it works. You know, you gotta, and that, like you're saying, that can be an ego bust maybe sometimes. Like if you're playing in Texas to hundreds and hundreds of fans or, you know,
going
sold
to
out clubs.
The Hi-Fi in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a great way to keep you humble.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's interesting, but I mean, that's how you have to kind of do it to grow. You know?
We try to play to the crowd, like regardless. I mean, I don't know. I try to have the same energy for 300 people as I do for 3,000. You know, because you know they're there for an experience as well. So like we're gonna do our best to give you everything we got every time we're paid to do it.
And you guys do for sure.
Right.
My old roommate Joe Portner opened a couple gigs
Joe.
for you. Yeah, same. Yeah. We're actually seeing him. We talked him into coming down to the Floribama with us. So I'm seeing him this weekend. Nice. I haven't seen him in a long time. Every time he's like living outside of the city now, and I'm like, bro, you can stay with me. But he has a dog, and I can't have a dog at my lease. So I'm like, yeah. I was like, you gotta have Granny watch it or something. You know? But it's like he was so happy on the road with you guys, like when he was doing a couple of those opening gigs, because he was seeing that there's people that are digging that thing, right? Yeah. And he's the same way. He loves Blackberry Smoke and, you know, all the old stuff. He listens to Black Crowes, like that's what we listened to at the house when we were hanging out. You know, it's like Black Crowes. But he talked about watching fans love your guys' stuff when he was there, you know, and just getting to see that like kind of filled him back up. And it's like, hey, this sound that I'm trying to do is not that different than this. So if this can work, like my stuff can work. So there's people that are doing the thing, that are looking to folks like you, just like you guys look to Whiskey Myers and kind of like helping grow that thing. Yeah. The next season of folks are riding on the backs of you guys going out and doing those shows at the High Water, wherever. You know, it's it's almost a service to the community, just like when Whiskey did it or when Blackberry Smoke started probably doing it. And now, I mean, Blackberry Smoke, when they were in Pennsylvania, they were selling in Pittsburgh, they were selling 1,500 tickets. You know, they're playing like rooms that were bigger than a lot of the mainstream country acts were playing, but it's because they went there. And then I know you guys talked about Chicago. Chicago's a crazy market because it's such a dense market. And guys like Ed Warm have invested in Red Dirt and Texas style music, which also means the rockin' side. Like, there's a big fan base for that up in Chicago. Yeah. Have you guys played Joe's on Weed Street?
Yeah, we've done it a couple times.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Great pizza.
Great pizza.
Yeah. And Ed's a G, like the owner of that place. Like, he is just a music lover, man.
Yeah. And I feel like you can tell from the venue. You know, like you can tell whenever people are putting into it. It's not just like, oh, there's a stage in the corner and there's power. Yeah. See you guys later.
Yep. Hope it doesn't sound too shitty. All right. Yeah. Here's your check, you know.
Which is nice. It's nice to walk in a place and like know that this place is specifically for music.
Yeah. Right.
You know, because I don't know how many times we were, you know, even in Texas, you know, you're playing those like rockin' rodeos or whatever. God. I'm glad that we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, not the people. The people were fine. It was just like this giant, like, I don't know, like a urban cowboy theme, like, you know,
that vibe.
Yeah, and it was just like this. I don't know. That was sometimes soul crushing. Yeah. I remember like rockin' rodeos or whatever. Like we opened for. I remember opening for Mead.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, at Rockin' Rodeo in Denton, like long time. We opened for Mead and Cody West and a couple of them down there, and I mean we opened for Whiskey Myers there.
Yeah, we opened for Whiskey in a couple midnight rodeos or
Rockin' Rodeo, Midnight
Rodeo. They all run together.
Something rodeo.
Yeah, midnight something.
Yeah.
Every little bar, huh?
Yeah. Like big dance halls that are like massive and screens everywhere and
like the Blues Brothers or some shit when they're all throwing stuff at you. It's the cage.
Yeah. I'm glad we're past that.
Yeah.
But glad to experience it. You know?
That's part of what makes the thing when it works even more powerful. You're like, you remember that.
Yeah.
Puts a feather in your hat.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember chatting. It's definitely different than the Texas scene, but Texas, like how you guys have like regional radio, you know what I mean? Yeah. So like there's definitely Texas market where it's dense with that music. So in Canada, it's like in Canada they have to spend 40% of their airtime on Canadian artists. So there's artists in Canada that are big that can't sell tickets outside of Canada, and they kind of are doing the same thing where they're going outside of that to try to grow their market. So I remember like a guy, Jade Eagleson, talking about, you know, stepping out of that market and getting humbled by even a writer's round, you know? Yeah. He was like, bro, I was on stage with 2 other people and I was like, damn, these people are better than me. And I'm like, bro, I promise they weren't. But, you know, but it's just like, it helps. He was like, it made me just want to double down and work harder, you know? So those moments. Certainly. Yeah, there's moments where you're like, fuck, you know, or the ones that you got past, just make it so it's like, all right, we just got to double down and make sure that we're moving forward and keep kicking ass. What do you guys think? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, as a fan of, like, the Texas and Oklahoma music scene out there, I feel like in the last maybe, like, 4 years, like, it's really grown outside of that, reached, like, around here maybe, and, like, just, like, nationwide more. Do you guys feel that at all, like being the artist involved in it, or like do you feel that boom per se? Or
I feel like we can definitely feel like our growth outside of the region, but as far as like it, I don't know. We haven't really been there to like we'll pop in, you know, and play like Houston and play down there, here and there, and
I definitely compared to like where the scene was at when we started, I definitely feel like it's more, I don't know, prevalent. Yeah. And there are more, I don't know, like spaces for kids to feel like they can go try to do this thing.
Yeah.
Like because like venues are more aware of it maybe, or fans are kind of more plugged in, and I definitely feel like, because, and I don't know, when we started it felt like, and we were in Stillwater, we were all in school at one time or another, it felt like there wasn't really anybody, at least in the Stillwater area, really trying to do it seriously.
Right.
And, we talk about Stoney and Cross Canadian Ragweed and Mike McClure and Jason Boland. Those guys were grown up and moved out of Stillwater by this point, and I think for maybe all of them were by this point.
Yeah.
And so it felt kind of...
I never understood that until it happened to us, as far as like,
why would you ever leave here?
yeah.
Is it like outgrowing it, I guess?
Oh, dude, it's a
Wow.
college town, and
Yeah.
people are always coming and going, and then like all of a sudden you're 25 and everybody else is like 19.
18, 19.
And it's like,
Yeah.
this is not cute
I
anymore.
gotta go somewhere where I can get some sleep on a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Right,
You know?
yeah.
And I lived like a block from the Strip, and it was like, go in here and have a couple drinks.
Yeah.
And then I'd be ordering Jimmy John's at 3 a.m.
Standing in line at the Dirty
Yeah.
Curdy.
crawling
Truck.
home.
Oh, man.
Dirty Curdy was the hot dog stand on
Yeah.
Washington, dude, and it
I'm
was
familiar
so
with that one,
good.
yeah.
Oh yeah, you were
Yeah,
the-
I lived on the Strip for a while. I worked for OSU. I didn't
Oh,
go
no
there.
kidding.
I
Okay.
worked there. So, but yeah, it was fun. The best part was definitely the Strip.
Yeah.
But like, I was around like the college age at that time still, and even I got fucking tired of it too. I know exactly what you mean. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm gonna just, in our house we rented was literally right at the end of the Greek housing.
Yep.
So that wasn't fun at all. But, but yeah, it's a good town for it. But
Good people watching.
Oh
Yeah.
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 From a distance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
But,
But all that to say that it definitely doesn't seem like that's the case anymore. Like,
Right.
it doesn't feel, it feels very active, like an active scene, and
Yeah.
people are
Yeah.
coming up, young guys coming up, and
Because
people
I
are
feel like
hungry for
whenever
it.
when I moved back there, so I went to school in Stillwater and didn't play music, didn't just just was a fan, just trying to get an education, and fell short of that. So I quit school and went to the oil patch and did numerous other things. And when I did start playing music, it was kind of like, okay, where I grew up and where I was living at the time in Southwest Oklahoma, there's nothing where we're from.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as if you want to play music, there's not really, like, you have to make your own
Yeah.
show, if you will, bring your own sound, the
Yeah.
whole nine.
Yeah.
Bring your own stage.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so it was like, I remember having a conversation with my dad. It was like, you think I should, give this a shot? Because I was still in the oil field, and I was having to like cancel opportunities to play because I had to work, or vice versa, you know. And at the time, I was like making the most money that I'd ever made in my life, and it was really hard to be like, double down on yourself and be like, okay, I'm gonna quit this career that I've started and bet on myself a little bit. And he was like, even Jesus had to leave his hometown,
Yeah. Wow, that's great.
And it was like, yeah, I guess we'll take off. We'll try it. And I moved to Stillwater, and before that, I'd had a band in my hometown. It was like my uncle was playing guitar for me, and he'd played guitar my whole life. And we played gigs around, Oklahoma, and I feel like I had to keep passing on opportunities to play places because, it was a little far, or it was a weeknight, or and it's like, man, I need to find some guys that are younger and that want to like go all in on this deal. And so I moved to Stillwater and met all these guys, and it's kind of crazy how it all fell together. Really met, and the first one was our our bass player Jeremy, Jam as we call him.
Yeah.
And I don't even think most people know his name's Jeremy, but so I met Jam at the Wormy Dog, which is like, it was a second Wormy Dog. If Chris, I don't know if Chris is in here or not. He knows the Wormy Dog history.
Yeah.
Well, there was a Wormy Dog in Stillwater originally, and then by the time that we came around, it had
Closed down,
lost its lease or whatever, something, and they moved it down to Oklahoma City. So
And
we're talking about the Oklahoma City one.
It was kind of like, dirty, dingy little like Bricktown bar that I don't know, like American Aquarium would play every New Year's, and that was like right when I turned 21. I was able to get in, and like I saw a bunch of great bands there, and really up until recently that whenever that place closed down, it was kind of like there was a void, there wasn't really like a home for that style of music. And anyway, long story short, I think I'd done I want to say it was like an acoustic deal or something. And it was like me and Dalton Domino and Co. Wetzel and Parker McCollum, some guy, have you heard of him? And Katie Butts and Chance Anderson, but some other guys. Yeah. And we were just doing a little acoustic showcase thing, and then afterwards everybody was partying, and I think they had some band. I don't remember. I was a couple drinks in, a couple 100 drinks in, and I meet maybe the coolest guy I've ever met, which is Jam, our bass player, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll play." I was like, "I'm trying to put a band together, and I've got these songs, I've got an album, and I want to do some more." And he's like, "I'll play guitar for you," and he's a great guitar player. And then fast forward, like a month later, I move up to Stillwater, and we start kind of putting the band together. And then we met JT, John Tyler Perry, and our guitar player now, one of them. And Jeremy's like, "Yeah, he's better than me." So he's like, "I'll just play bass." And I was like, "Okay." So he learned how to play bass, and we were still lacking a drummer. And this guy,
Dude, that's false. I was blowing his phone up. Okay? Like I had gotten his phone number, and we had been speaking maybe 6 months before you moved up to Stillwater. And he was like, "Yeah, I have a band right now. I am trying to do it, but like we'll see what we can get figured out in the future." And every like month or so, I'd hit him back up and be like, "Yo, I'm still here. What are you doing? I hate college. Like, come save me."
Persistence.
Yeah, honestly. And then I just wanted him to think of me when the time came.
Yeah.
Right.
And so all this happened.
and then we did, yeah.
And then he did think of me. Yeah.
This son of a bitch has been on my
And
phone.
then
Not leaving me alone.
And then he was actually great.
Yeah.
you know?
Whoops.
Which we were, I think we were, at that time, it's honestly what shaped the sound a lot was having a rock drummer, because like that was what he was influenced by. And I think that had we not had somebody that was influenced by rock, it could have turned more, country if we would have had somebody, train beating over there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it was taking like these country songs that I had like Gunshy or something and putting a rock beat behind them. And then I don't know, that's what really, I think, shaped us into, okay, we can do this. We can do some more rockin' tunes. And played our first show at the Tumbleweed, like a week after we got together for the first time?
Not even. It's like we practiced
3 or 4 days
on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and had a show Thursday, I think. Yeah. That was I'm pretty sure like the text that I got was like, "Hey, is your kid up here?" And I was like, "No, but I can go grab it." And he was like, "Okay, let's practice Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, got a show Thursday." And then we played at the Tumbleweed for what? I don't want to be like like overshoot it.
I
and
thought
say
like 400.
400 people
Oh,
or
wow.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, it wasn't like our first show ever. He had been playing shows and he
Right,
had
right.
that record out, but it was definitely, I don't know, it was like a thing. And then we went down to the Wormy Dog not very long after that and did it again for probably the same amount of people. And
And then our third show was opening for Whiskey Myers.
yeah, dude, that's so true.
Crazy.
You
Yeah.
forget that, but it was opening for
Swasupalooza.
at Swasupalooza at Southwestern Oklahoma State University in
Yeah.
Weatherford. We played in their basketball arena,
Yeah,
which
it
was a nice
sick.
room. Yeah,
It
it's a
was sick.
nice
Yeah.
new arena, and yeah, we opened for Whiskey Myers. It was crazy. It was just crazy and terrifying, but now we're all good, really good friends with them. So
It's good.
yeah.
It's crazy, honestly.
Anyways, I don't even think you guys asked like, how did this start?
No,
No,
that's
that's-
interesting
this
because
is
I never
perfect.
knew.
Yeah.
Was that all around like? So was this like your debut or was this the Borrowed
was, like,
Time era?
2016.
Okay.
So 2015 is when I put out Six String Sorrow.
Yep.
And
I think Borrowed Time came 2017,
Okay.
so it was like
Yeah.
right between those two.
Gotcha.
and really that should have come out in 2016 probably, but
Mm-hmm.
we recorded like 3 times.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
But
Who are you guys working with on production now?
the last fellow that we had was a Nashville guy, and his name's Eddie Spear,
Yeah,
and
familiar. He's
yeah,
done some pretty big stuff.
yeah.
Dude, he's in like everything too.
Yeah.
He's like a
It's
mad
not just
scientist. Dude.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
really good. We enjoyed working with him, and that was kind of we wanted to get out of get out of our comfort zone a little bit,
Yeah.
and do something different. And Eddie took us
Definitely.
on and was like, let's give it a shot. So we came to Nashville and started like he's got a studio at his house, and we went down in there and tossed around some songs. And this last record was really I don't know that it would have got done the way that it did had it not been Eddie, because he was really good at like steering the ship.
Yeah,
Right.
I knew that we were
I've heard
gonna.
that.
I knew we were gonna. Because up until this point, I lyrically wrote everything
Mm-hmm.
that we had done, and I was kind of. I think I was ready for a more inclusive approach,
Yeah,
because all these guys write songs, and I've known that. Everybody that is close to us knows that, because after the show we're sitting around, and they're playing their songs, and it was like, wow, like, holy shit, I didn't know that. I don't know, Jeremy wrote like that, and it's like, yeah, dude, like, but it has been for a long time.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to, not only we were trying to like break that mold of like, I've never wanted to be Reid Southall and the
Yeah.
Rowdy crowd or whatever,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I've always wanted to be a band.
Yeah.
I always wanted
Yeah.
to be a Blackberry Smoke, a Whiskey Myers,
Mhm.
a band of people, the Eagles,
Yeah.
know?
yeah,
But like I didn't want to be George Strait,
Yeah.
like I didn't want the pressure of that,
Yeah.
and I wanted to share it,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what we were trying to do on this last album, was like, how do we break that cycle that we've been on? Whereas before it was, we'd come up demos and then I'd write lyrics, or I'd write lyrics and then they'd come up with the music behind it and we'd work together on it. But from outside looking in, I think everybody just thought it was still, whenever it was the Reid Southall band,
Mhm.
because I remember fighting forever just to get people to put band on shit.
Right.
yeah.
It was like, Reid Southall here tonight. And it was like, no.
The boys.
Yeah. Like, if it was Reid Southall, then I'm just going to play acoustic,
Yeah.
like, and that's not, I'm not the only one riding in this van and eating gas station food,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
we're all here doing this shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we're splitting this $25,
Yeah.
And,
Damn, you got paid. Yeah.
and so this last one, we went, in there with Eddie, and like, we got all these songs, and we kind of sifted through them. I think there was probably like, I don't know, 16, 17.
I think there was 20.
Okay. I don't know. There was more than what we recorded.
Yeah.
And had a fresh set of ears with Eddie, that somebody that wasn't biased on who wrote what or anything like that. Just listened to the songs and helped us decide on which ones we wanted to record. And we kind of built them from there. And we were going to come to Nashville. We were going to record here. And we started, checking pricing and stuff.
Yeah.
We're like,
Shit. Yeah.
I think we'll stay home.
Yeah.
And I'd always wanted to record an album in Oklahoma proper. I mean, because besides Six String Sorrow and the one single Clean Slate, that was all we'd recorded in Oklahoma proper. Everything else had been in Texas and Denton with a guy named Taylor Kimball.
Yeah, we know Kimball.
Yeah, great guy.
Yep.
Great producer.
Great
yeah.
producer.
He's a wizard.
Yeah. And that was actually after Clean Slate. He called me and was like, bro, you should have let me produce that song. I'm like, well, I know, but it's already out now, dude. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I think he got my number from Dre or something, and we connected, which Dre was Co's drummer back when. And me and Kimball became friends, and then that was whenever we jumped on Borrowed Time, and we had told him our struggle of, we had went to all these different places and recorded the music, and it just seemed like we couldn't nail down exactly what we were looking for. And then when we met with Kimball, we went to his house, and it was real laid back, and we're in pajama pants, fucking recording guitar parts and shit. And it was cool. It really felt authentic, and we were all excited about it, and ended up landing a solid album that I think.
Oh yeah.
It's funny too, because like I feel like everybody's like an album late,
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I remember when Borrowed Time came out, we couldn't get them to listen to it. Nobody would listen to it. Everybody was Six String Sorrow. All we want to hear Keystone Clan. That's all we want to hear. And it was like, this new stuff's great. Why are you not? We put a lot of work into this, and it's like, no, we want the old stuff. And then then we put out For the Birds, and then they're Borrowed Time. We want to hear Borrowed Time. And so now I'm just like, okay, well, our next album, then they'll like this one,
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's whatever.
Yeah.
Like I said, you got to make your music for you.
Yes.
Right.
That's
Everything
100%.
else fall into place.
And if you think about it too, right? Now them wanting the last album is good, because then when someone goes and looks at it in 5 years, they have all of those, so they can figure out which one's the one that they love the most and kind of like attach to it.
I love having more than one, it's like I said, when we first got together, it was like 12 songs, and it's like we're trying to play 90 minutes or whatever with 12 songs. It was like,
All right, let's slow these down really slow.
I'm gonna do this one twice. But,
Nobody will know.
and now we're at the point where it's like, I don't even know what to pick,
Right.
Look at my ass chewed out on social media
For not playing a
Yeah.
the
song.
day after shows. They're like, you didn't play
Gunshot.
whatever. Yeah. I'm like, hey, we played 15 other ones,
Yeah.
that we thought were what you wanted. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We're trying to make everybody happy, I promise.
Including ourselves. We're playing what we want
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, that's
we're not just going to play all the old songs. Like, we're touring on new music.
Right.
So,
and that's a part of it too, is like, if you played the same songs over and over and over in the same order every year, you wouldn't enjoy it as much as you do with
Yeah, well,
getting
you
to put the new stuff
Just
in.
going through the motions. And
Yeah.
nobody wants that.
No, yeah. And the live show isn't the best with that either, honestly. It's the best with new music that you guys are pumped for, as long as you're pumped for it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
you can tell if the artist is or not. Like, some of the like heritage artists and rock, like I remember like listening to rock music, and I'm like, I don't even think they like this stuff they're playing. But as long as you're into it, that feeds the live show.
Yeah.
Makes it better.
Yeah,
And
people can tell when you're faking it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it transcends just you and filters to the crowd, you know? So I think that's super important. It's a weird thing. People are always like, play the hits, and we joke about that. We have like a running joke of like, play the hits. It's kind of like the guy from the crowd yelling that.
Yep.
They're not yelling, play the hits. They're yelling, play this song,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
That's the worst thing about today is the damn holding up the cell
Dude,
phone.
the snap.
yeah.
the-
Oh
my
Yeah,
God.
type out
my favorite thing
a
about Europe.
message and hold it up.
Yeah.
It's like,
Not
you don't
one
see
time.
a cell phone.
No.
Not
Yeah.
one time did we see that over there.
Yeah.
So, get it together over here, guys.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing too, and I feel like comedy, right? They have the thing where if you're going to see a comedian, they lock up your phone in a fucking case.
Let's consider that.
Yeah, what would that be like now?
I remember the first time I ever heard of that was Dave Chappelle.
Dave
Yeah.
Chappelle in Oklahoma
Criterion.
City.
Yeah. Yeah, I did it for Chappelle 3 times, you know?
We
he
went
always
in,
does
like,
it.
that's where we practiced at. And we had like the big, like, safe thing with all the bags, you know, where they lock up phones. I was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Chris like, yeah, they got to lock up their phones. It's like, damn,
It
that's a
makes-
pretty good
yeah.
idea.
It makes
crazy,
a lot of
right?
sense as a comedian, you know,
Yeah.
because you're trying to preserve your jokes so that
Right.
you can do the whole tour without having
Right.
the punchline spoiled. But
Yeah.
like, obviously, it's different for musicians. But at the same time, like,
That's the hardest
Leave
thing
us
about like,
alone.
set lists. Like sometimes, you know, luckily we change up the set all the time, so it's not that big of a deal. But you know, maybe there's like a weekend where we're doing this set list and we've got it kind of worked up and the songs that we want to do, or like we have like a fun cover that nobody knows we're gonna play.
Yeah.
And like right now we're doing like I feel like we've always tried to do some like a classic rock song that nobody knows they know, but they know,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know.
Whiskey Myers is the best, by the way, at doing this.
Yeah,
And we've
Yeah.
we've definitely tried to.
take that and run with it.
Get
Yeah.
on the train.
I mean, last time I saw y'all, it was Top Cats in like Newport, Kentucky
Stop,
or something.
dude. Are you
I was-
kidding?
yeah.
Sticky floor.
Sticky floor, small.
That was in
ceiling,
Cincinnati.
Sold out. Stephen Wilson Jr. opened for you guys, right?
Yeah.
I think, but yeah, but you're.
That was the first time I ever heard him, and I was like, "Oh my god,
yeah, yeah.
he's so good."
It was
Yeah.
insane, but yeah, you guys had I think Jeremy up playing Bob Seger. Is that still going on?
Yeah, sometimes whenever we can talk him
If he
into it.
has to take a piss break,
Yeah, it's like jam. We got Bob Seger.
James, I was like, okay.
Yeah, my favorite thing about that is then whenever they switch, you know, like our guitar player will play bass.
Yeah.
and I love watching him play bass. He's goofy as shit.
Funny.
That's great.
He's funny.
So Stephen Wilson Jr. is an interesting one because it's so different, right? It's
Whenever I listen to it, so whenever, you know, that's honestly the worst part of what we do is like finding support or like because it's so hit and miss and like whether it's gonna jive or not, and you can't really tell. You can't tell unless you see it
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
yourself. And then sometimes you get there and you're like, oh, this is awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're like, we should have done something different. Most of the time it's awesome.
Yeah.
But that was like, I'd listen to Steven's music and was like, this is cool. Like, this is interesting. But I hadn't seen it for myself. And like trying to judge off a music video is kind of
Yeah.
hard. And then for him to show up and just put on an absolute clinic, you know, was like, oh my God, like
Yeah.
this is.
Yeah, I remember because that show was in like I want to say January of like 23 maybe, and literally 2 months after that he like blew the fuck up. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what
Yeah.
that's that same guy.
Yeah.
Like, that was wild.
Which
Like,
is great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm glad that everybody got the damn memo.
yeah,
Took them long enough.
yeah,
yeah, really cool storyteller, and the live set. It's like you're saying. It's if it's just him and the guitar, you know, it's crazy
Yeah.
still.
It's very compelling, no
Yeah.
doubt.
Yep. Who are some other like openers or that you guys have had on the road, or anyone that you guys are having out right now?
We're playing with Goodbye June on
Oh, sick.
on
Tomorrow.
What is that? Is it?
Is it tomorrow? I think so.
It's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Maryville.
Maryville at the shed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was at that Maryville. We went and saw the Georgia Thunderbolts there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They opened for us
Sick.
there. What, last time we were?
Yeah, we played the the indoor room. And
Yeah.
they opened for us there.
That room's super cool indoors too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little sweaty rock room.
Yeah.
It is great.
And they're great. That was
Yeah.
another name I was
dude,
going to
they're
bring
great.
up. That was just kind of like, I don't even remember how that happened. Do you? It just happened.
We had TJ on the pod. I love his voice too.
Yeah.
It's like has a little bit of Cornell in it, I feel like.
Yeah.
You know?
He's
Yeah.
excellent.
Yeah.
One of the thing that TJ did for me more than anything was like, I'd been struggling with, so when we first started, we were a 4-piece, and I'd play rhythm, you know, on acoustic or electric or whatever, and I was really trying to like break out of that and just do the frontman thing.
Yeah.
And because a lot of my favorite frontmen aren't playing anything, they're, you know, doing just the Mick Jagger thing, you know. And I really wanted to do that, but like I couldn't get out of my comfort zone. And then like playing those shows with the Georgia Thunderbolts and watching him just captivate an audience with nothing but his voice was like, okay, I'm gonna try it.
Yeah.
And then we went to Europe, and that was like right after those Thunderbolt shows that we did with them, and it was we went with Blackberry Smoke, and I was like, I'm not even going to take a guitar. I'm just not even going to take it.
Force yourself to do
Yeah,
it.
so I did, and then after that, it was like night and day, you know. And now I don't. I'll play acoustic a little bit, you know, on a couple of the like slow, sad ones, and you know that I like to get in the pocket by playing, you know. But I've got 2 great guitar players, so like you're not really missing anything if I'm not playing. You know? I'm not that great of a guitar player; just kind of hold it down. And yeah, that's what I feel like. That's what TJ did for me. Was like give me that confidence and show me like, hey, this is attainable.
Yeah,
and, like you can do it. And yeah,
I feel like that also gives the guitar players more moments too, right?
yeah.
So specifically like with the Bolts, like Riley is fucking crazy too, you know? So, but I feel like he gets moments because when the guitar's happening, you're obviously looking at that too, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that honestly helps a band be a band, you know?
Yeah.
So that's super cool to hear how that kind of came to be.
Yeah, I feel like I'd always been like looking that direction and like wanted to do that, but I just kept putting it off, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, nah, this is comfortable to me. This is comfortable.
I mean, you look at all the greatest frontmen. I mean, you think like Freddie Mercury, Robert Plant, like all them guys. I mean, like they don't go up there with a guitar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe there's something to be said about that. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too about a band, right? I think it's okay to do that in a band. Whereas if you're it's weird in Nashville here because like everybody's used to having their guitar, right? There's writers' rounds and it's like the comfort piece, right?
There's also like ridiculously famous people that don't even know how to play guitar.
Oh, yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is crazy to me.
Absolutely. Yeah, or people that could play 3 chords, but you know,
Yeah.
they're not creative. They could strum along to the music happening, you know. That's to me too. Like seeing songwriters in town that don't play guitar is like seems crazy. But there are not a ton. Most of them play, of course, but there are some that don't play that are like songwriters, and it's just interesting to. Stuff I never thought of before I moved to Nashville is that, you know, it's like, oh yeah, they must all play guitar. No, there's some hit songwriters that a bunch of number ones that don't play guitar. You know, they have the melody in their head and someone else helps them express it.
Yeah.
You know, it's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever co-write like outside of the band, like with anyone, or you guys keep it mostly like in-house?
Man, not a whole lot.
I don't think we've released anything that we've co-written with anybody outside the band.
Yeah, like I wrote a couple songs in Nashville and came and did some writes just to really like experience it.
Yeah.
I'd never done it, you know, go down and get in a writer's room and do it.
Is right or wrong?
No, it was Here We Are and There We Went.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
wrote-
Okay. Yeah.
With a fella here, and I've like I said, there's been wrote 4 or 5 songs, came to Nashville and tried it out, It's always been like a really personal thing.
Yeah.
And even like, we don't write with each other a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not as, I feel like everybody writes more with them, like to themselves, and then brings it together. And maybe there's like some things here and there that we touch up or whatever,
For sure.
but it's just like for me, it's such a personal thing. Like, and it's kind of like if I was like painting a picture, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've always been like even in school and stuff. Like when I played sports, it was like I wrestled, and you know, like I raced motocross, and like
You didn't
it was
play,
always
like,
up to me.
football or baseball,
Yeah,
or
like
team sports.
it wasn't like a team thing, which is maybe not the best, but I always like, if I came up short, then it was on me,
Right.
and I enjoyed that, and that's kind of how I feel about the songwriting thing. But then I've got these guys to like bounce off and say, hey, does this suck? You know, or
Yeah.
do you like this? Or then they say maybe this line is a little, you know, a little weak, and maybe we could help with that, and I think that's kind of how it works, vice versa. On this last record, we definitely like we're more collaborative than we've ever been, but
Yeah, like One Day at a Time is probably the most collaborative song we've ever written.
Yeah.
We wrote that pretty much, like I think all of us touched it in some way or another lyrically, maybe with the exception of a couple guys. And that we also had a Oklahoma songwriter on there, Ben McKenzie.
yeah,
He was
Oh,
there
yeah.
for that song too, dude. He's so good.
that was whenever you said One Day at a Time, it kind of like brought me back to that first question about Stillwater. You know, I feel like Stillwater had like died down since the like Red Dirt days, you know, with Bolin and Ragweed and Stoney and all those guys. Once they moved out, it kind of died down. I mean, there were still people doing it a little bit, and then it just turned into, you know, DJs and karaoke and shit. And whenever we moved into town, it was like really cool to be a part of like this
It's like
resurgence.
a culture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like we're doing songwriter nights and like meeting guys from Tulsa, and people are coming up from Texas, and like every Sunday we got to get home from our show so we can go to Willie's and go to, you know,
Arcane.
yeah, and on Drown Night, the place is here, the time is now. Get you a drink, get you a shot. But
Oh, you got me.
we used to like it was cool to be a part of this like resurgence and like grab, like a lot of people wanted to see live music and wanted to hear those songs, and you could test those songs out and be like, okay, does this suck? But let's see what these random drunk college kids think about it, you know, that are just coming in for like a shot and hanging out and listening to 2 songs and leaving, and then another whole group of people, you know, you might even be able to try the same song twice.
Yeah.
And that was whenever like I remember watching that curly haired kid come in with 2 or 3 songs that he wrote, and then now he's on tour with Cody Jinks, you know, and Josh Malloy. And I don't know, I feel like it just kind of like it inspired everybody there to, including us, to like that it doesn't matter where you're at, that you don't have to. Same thing with like Corey Kent White or whatever. Everybody was playing around there, and there was like you could like play the frat parties or something, but there wasn't like a culture on the strip of like live music or, you know, songwriters. And like Ben McKenzie was mainly the driver of that. I feel like, and it was we brought out all the weirdos that had wrote a cool song, you know, and like got to meet all these very interesting people that otherwise we wouldn't have. And I don't know, it's neat.
No, like you got a point, because like as someone who just moved there from Kentucky, which has like completely different place than Oklahoma, like Stillwater, when I actually got into the music there, like I feel like most of like the fans and like students and everything, we felt part of something. Like this is what the town's about. Like we had the same guys coming in and out on these, like playing these shows every weekend, going to the Salty Bronc or something, someone's gonna play, or like Trent Fletcher, all them guys, Matt Williams, all them guys. It feels like the culture, like you're a part of something. I think that's what makes it different. And like the rich history of like Red Dirt and just the attitude, I guess, of the place. I think there's something to say about that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's that's kind of what, I don't know. It sucks because it was like once, we were successful and it got a little older, and it was like we moved out of there. And I still, every night, we're Southall from Stillwater, Oklahoma, and none of us live there anymore. But we're still from there. Like, that's where the band is from. That's where we started, and that town did it for us. And I don't think any of the people that, were a part of our scene are even there anymore. No. They all graduated or quit or never went in the first place or whatever. But
I don't think it's a stretch to say that, we probably wouldn't be doing this without if Stillwater wasn't a place. It's a very unique, I don't know, like gravitational thing that I don't know.
College town and music part, like mixture,
which is kind of what I feel like Stephenville, Texas is like. I always thought that was really close to the same feel, like
sister city.
Because whenever I met Co, it was he was like, man, I can't get anybody up here to let me come play their bar. And I'm like, well, I can't get in Texas. We've been trying hell to get down there. And he was like, I'll come open for you and you come open for me. I'm like, okay. And so we did for, we'd go down there and open up for 50 or 60 people. It was right before Noise Complaint come out. Yeah. And that was what?
The Big Bang.
Yeah. Yeah. And, but it was cool. It was cool. We jived really well with everybody in the band, and that was something that both of us wanted to do with the Texas-Oklahoma thing, because there's a really big partnership there that I don't think a lot of people see. Is it's funny because everybody from Texas is like, all the good songwriters are from Texas, and we're like, no, all the good songwriters from Oklahoma, and it depends on what side of the Red River you live on. That's who you bat for. But
Garth, no, George.
Yeah, but I don't know, like Randy Rogers and Ragweed, and Reckless Kelly, and all these bands that were. And Boland and Stoney, and they were all feeding off each other and sharing a crowd, and there was this brotherhood, and I think that's what we earned for. That's what we looked up to, and I remember telling him that's what I was looking for, and he was saying I'm looking for the same thing, and then success happens and shit goes sideways, but just in the sense of everybody gets busy and it's not as easy as it once was to be like, hey, I'm coming down there, let's play a show Saturday. It's now you got to have it booked out the year or some shit. Right. And it runs everything really, but money does.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how it always goes.
Yeah, but I'm also thankful for the times.
Yes.
And the loading up in a pickup and everybody.
Yeah. I'm thankful for the times.
I'm also
glad they're over.
Yeah. Yeah. I also am going to sleep fine on a tour bus.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's I remember I was on tour bus with one of our buddies, and I was like, I don't know if I like this. And then I just stayed on with Kurt. His they have the fucking condo bunks, and I was like, this is luxurious. I was like, how'd you guys
I used to have a condo bunk, but I gave it to him because he's long.
Yeah.
Dude,
he's a tall guy.
That is true, but he also failed to mention the fact that it is the squeakiest bunk in the land.
So I thought this out. I was I was laying in there, I was like, going down
It
the
was
road.
loud, dude.
And I'm trying to fix it and shove credit cards or whatever in there and keep it from squeaking. And then I'm like, I got an idea. Next morning I wake up, I'm like, Barb,
I'm feeling generous today.
dude, you should take this bunk because you're bigger, dude. I mean, you're taller. I don't need all this room.
I'm like, are you sure, dude? He's like, yeah, man. Yeah,
what a
absolutely.
nice guy.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Squeaks. Yeah. It's
now I'm sleeping good. So.
Yeah, right on.
Funny enough, yeah. No, when did you guys make the move to a tour bus? Like at what point?
It's been what?
2 years, a little over 2 years.
I think the first time, it's been probably like 3, because I think the first time we got in one, we were still doing a bunch of shows with Co, and he had bought one, and then I think he bought a second one, and they'd started renting out the second one, and it was like we were doing these runs that we couldn't possibly be in a van anymore, like
Right.
and that's what, like, our old tour manager, that's what we runned him. Because it was like, here, jump in and drive 12 hours, and then load in, and
We did.
we did.
He had a rough gig.
I'm sorry, Grant, we love you.
We love you, Grant.
That's part of the thing, though. They know what they're signing up for. When you do that.
And he's also from like Midland, so he's already like high strung.
Yeah.
Like 6 shots of espresso and like pulling his hair out, and smoking a cigarette, and like squeezing the wheel. Everything is, you pedal to the floor, no matter what it is. We drive fast, and that's that Midland mentality, that West Texas thing. But that, I think that was the first time that we had been on one, was one of Co's buses, and then from there we found a guy that's in Oklahoma City that has his own bus company, and he used to have a big bus company, like 12 or 13. I think now he's stripped down to 3 or 4, and he owns the bus and drives it and works on it. So like if we break down, he's out there.
He knows what he's doing.
Tooling it, getting it going.
He definitely know. He could tear that thing apart piece by piece and put it back together again.
That's so. Yeah. Honestly, that's such a blessing.
Oh,
Oh my
dude,
God.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't have the part or something, like he knows somebody in the next town. Like he's
crazy.
so, I don't know. There's this whole network of bus drivers.
It's
I
really
guess.
cool. Like I'm related to this like famous bus driver.
Yeah, this is crazy.
It is, dude.
It really
It
is
is.
crazy.
So where I'm from, Southwest Oklahoma, like I said, if you want to do anything in the music business, you got to get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing there but cotton, wheat, and cattle. And we like to say there's a pretty girl behind every tree, and there's like no trees. But we get to playing music. We've probably been doing it 2 or 3 years and found some success. And I'm talking to my parents about it one time. I don't remember, it was like Thanksgiving or Christmas, some holiday. And they're like, you didn't know, my grandpa's first cousin was like this famous bus driver, and his name was Hoot Borden. And I'm like, oh, really cool, yeah. And then like I like look it up later, and I'm like, Hoot Borden, and like you should look into it, because it's crazy. Like he drove like Megadeth, but he's drove Reba, and he's drove like everybody that you can think of. And he originally he played drums for Ernest Tubb.
Oh, wow.
And then decided he liked driving the bus better than playing drums.
Playing
He's
drums.
like, I like driving. And okay, so they made him the bus driver. I think he was like tour manager for a little bit, and just ran with it. Like I said, and I think his old bus is what's in Ernest Tubb record shop. That one that's in there.
Okay.
It's like the Eagle or something.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and so like he's like this crazy, like every bus driver that you come across, I ask him, like, you heard of Hoot Borden? Like, yeah, everybody learned from Hoot Borden. And I'm related to this guy. I mean, like, distantly, but I think he left Southwest Oklahoma when he was like 13 or something. It was like, going. Yeah, I'm going on the road.
Wow.
It was a Texas Troubadour. And we're riding late one night in the front line, or I'm on the like jump seat next to the bus driver, and his name's Brian. And I'm like, Brian, have you ever heard of Hoot Borden? And he was like, yeah, he was basically my mentor. Like he taught me. I've drove with him for years and taught me everything I know. And it was just like, wow, like a small world.
Wow.
I don't know.
That's wild.
It is really crazy.
That is nuts.
And I really didn't believe him at first. I was like, nah, you're full of shit. And then I don't think he believed me that I was related to him, and then it's just, I don't know.
Things like that make you feel like you're like in the right place.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah.
For
I don't
sure.
know. It's
There's
crazy.
there's stuff that lines up where you're like,
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
What kills me is that I never got to meet him, and
Yeah.
he was, I think, I don't know how recently he passed, but it hasn't been terribly long. I was definitely around. I don't think I was playing music yet, but I was so pissed at my parents. I was like, why didn't you tell me? Like, I could have met this guy,
Yeah.
And I'm sure, and especially I've heard that he had like the best stories,
Oh, I can only imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Most of which could probably not be talked about on a podcast.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah. That's it's interesting too, and that's one of the other things that for me, like coming from just being a fan of music and then getting now to see all of the different jobs and all of the different roles that are in the industry. You know?
I
It's
mean,
like,
especially in this city, dude.
yeah,
It's
Nashville's
crazy.
crazy about it.
Yeah.
I always like, not threaten, but I always like tell myself, I'm sick of singing and writing. I'm about to just be a tour manager. I'm gonna be a bus driver.
Yeah. It's the craziest part. Like, and then getting to see, like, I went to Cincinnati for the Luke Combs show, and then seeing what a stadium production looks like and how many people
Oh yeah.
have jobs because of that one show rolling
Yeah.
around the country.
Yeah.
It's nuts. Bus drivers, it's van drivers, it's
Yeah,
20
production,
managers,
sound, lights,
Yeah.
cameras.
the people for a week putting up all the seats, it's
During the Blackberry Smoke Run in Europe last year, I was talking to their photographer, media guy. His name's Andy, and he was telling me he got into the scene, if I'm not mistaken, with the Zach Brown camp, and he was telling me about how major that whole production was. It was like over 150 people that on a
crazy.
daily basis are needed. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, that is unbelievable.
Right.
Yeah.
I
That's what they're
literally,
talking
it's so
about.
hard to get us 10 guys to do any one thing.
Yeah.
They're talking about, like, I was talking to Whiskey Myers tour manager Chris about they had just done that Eric Church run, and he's like, because our biggest deal when we go out with them is like catering, right?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my god,
let's go.
like this is a game changer. Like, being able to just wake up and go out there and eat is like life changing.
Yeah.
Because most of the time you wake up and you're in the panhandle of Texas, and it's like, it's 4 miles to town to go get a Allsup's burrito.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Get the
And-
fried chicken at the convenience store.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's a game changer. So I told him, I was like, you don't know how great it is that y'all allow us to eat at catering. Like, thank you so much. And he's like, bro, you should have been on this Eric Church run. He's like, they have a bus that with chefs in it that like just cook for the whole tour.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, how the hell does anybody afford that? And he's like, it's cheaper to do that
Yeah.
than it is to get catering every day for
100 people.
60 people
Yeah.
that they have just in their like
Camp.
their camp, you
For
know.
sure.
Not to mention the other 60 people that are running around doing
Yeah.
lights, camera, action stuff. So like,
Yep.
I don't know. That was a mind-boggling.
Plenty
thing.
of room for us to grow.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, it's cool to see that though, and it's again just parts of the industry you don't think about until you see it. You know,
Yeah.
whether it's a great bus driver or it's even things like the drummer coming in and helping craft the sound. It's just such interesting things for fans, which Sam and I are fans, to kind of get to hear. So,
Yeah.
dude, thank you guys so much for
Yeah. Thanks for
Thanks
popping
for
by.
having us.
For
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've enjoyed it.
popping
Cheers.
on the pod. It's been
Yeah.
great.
Next
Thanks,
time, let's
guys.
do the afternoon.
Dude,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, we won't be driving 7.5 hours directly after next time.
Yeah,
But
we'll do
we
that.
appreciate you guys doing this, man. It's been a crazy again. Like Sam and I had talked about
Yeah.
you as a guest, you guys as a guest,
Yeah.
as for a while. So it's super cool, especially with Sam being from
Oh,
the
yeah.
scene.
Yeah.
It's full circle.
Right.
So
Yeah.
We're glad to
absolutely.
be here, and we appreciate what y'all guys do.
we
and
appreciate you guys.
thanks for telling the stories and allowing people to tell their stories.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you guys so much for being the guests here at the Butt Crack of Dawn and Old Hickory. And Sam, thanks for co-hosting with us.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, let us know when you guys got another Nashville date too, because I want to see it again.
You got it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, thanks for being here. I'm Nicky T.
I'm Sam.
And we'll see you in the front row.